Joining me today is Chris Hadnagy, author of Human Hacking. Human Hacking, Win Friends, Influence People, and Leave Them Better Off for Having Met You. As a species, we are increasingly characterized by stress, isolation, and digital detachment. Christopher had Nagy, a leading expert in global security and a master hacker, reveals how principles of human communication can be employed to establish rapport, enhance relationships, and influence others' decisions constructively. This isn't about manipulation, but rather about building genuine connections and regaining confidence in our interactions. With his guidance, readers can soon find themselves winning friends, influencing people, and making positive strides toward their aspirations. His vast experience in the field, from training law enforcement professionals to speaking at renowned events like RSA and Black Hat, highlights his authority. Welcome to the show. Nice to have you on, Chris.
Thank you for having me on, Kathryn.
Well, okay, so it seems to me, my first question is, I mean, your expertise and your other books have had to do with people trying to hack us and get material and get us to do things that we don't want to do, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Now you're saying we should be able to do that, but in a good way, right? With good intentions.
Yes, you said it exactly right.
Okay. Well, it's how do you know? I guess my first question is like you're you're providing us with all this information that bad hackers have used in the not just in the past, they do it now all the time. And you trust us have the ability to engage people, to be able to get them to do things that we want them to do, but we're good people trying to get them to do it.
That's actually I understand the confusion.
Okay.
So, for the last 15 plus years, I've been hired by major companies, government agencies to like break into buildings physically. Like I broke into banks, nuclear facilities, armed places. And you do this in broad daylight by walking up to security and tricking them that you belong here and getting in. And after doing this for so many years, I realized that what works better than threats or fear is building rapport with people. Now, after doing this for 15 years, I started to think, man, I've been doing this every day in my life, just not manipulation. So these skills can be used for really building better relationships and learning how to be a master communicator. The difference is that when the bad guys do it, they're doing it for their own benefit. So I'm going to get you to give me money or something, and it doesn't matter how you feel afterward. But when you use these skills ethically, then you do care about how the person feels, and you're not using it just to get things you want. You're using it to communicate the things that you want properly. And that communication can be done masterfully if you use these kind of skills.
But I'm still questioning, like, why isn't that manipulation in the same way? Okay, I'm thinking of somebody, like, say, politicians. Let's start with that. I think let's take our Donald Trump. He's a master manipulator.
So when you talk about politicians or people that are making promises, again, they're not using these skills if they're not being honest. So if they're promising you something, you vote for me, I will do X, Y, Z. And then you vote for them and they don't follow through with that promise. That's not using these skills ethically. That's using these skills for almost like the bad guys. You're manipulating in a way that is only beneficial for you. But there's a man out there, Chris Voss. He was a FBI negotiator, hostage negotiator, and now he teaches negotiation skills. And I was chatting with him once, and said something to me that sticks with me. A good negotiation isn't you lose, I win. A good negotiation is we both walk away with at least some of what we wanted. So if we approach communication that way, and it's not, I got to get you to do exactly what I want, and I don't care how you feel afterward, there's no ethics in that. There has to be a balance in good communication.
Okay, balance and ethics, those are key. And as I was thinking about it, I think that therapists, social workers,
Hmm.
psychologists, psychiatrists, they utilize these skills in an ethical way.
100%. A good therapist will learn how to communicate with their patient in a way that achieves the goal. I'm going to listen to you because you're actually talking to me the way I want to be talked to, and motivating to actually take the action that would be better for them and their mental health.
Can we get specific and talk about first the bad way and the good way? How do people, because I mean, that is the a big issue today when I was talking to somebody. I was telling them I'm going to interview you, and she said to me, I have a lot of difficulty, and this is one of the bad ways of how people can get you to do things that are not in their best interest. Um, with her parents who are
Hmm.
baby boomers, and every other day someone's trying to get them to do something either on the internet or on the phone that they shouldn't be doing. How do you recognize those people and what they're doing, and what's the process of that? Let's start with that.
Yeah, I love this question because there is a clear way to help educate, especially the older folks and even the younger ones who might not be aware enough of these type of attacks. The manipulators, the bad people, the people who want to get your parents to give up money or think that they owe the IRS or they're going to have their benefits taken away. Those guys use fear. So when you're on a phone call or if you get an email or a text message and it's telling you something really bad has happened or is going to happen to you, let's talk about an actual one that's out there right now. They call you and they say, this is the IRS. You haven't paid your taxes. There's some debt. So they're going to cut your benefits unless you pay it right now. Right. And if you don't pay it, they're sending a police officer to your house to arrest you. That's all fear based. So when you're on a phone call and you all of a sudden start feeling, well, did I forget to pay? Did I miss a bill? I don't know. Like, and I better do it now, or I'm going to not have my I need those benefits to live. So I don't want to get arrested. That kind of emotional content is when a person should stop and think, hey, hang on. Has the IRS ever called me in the 70 years I've been alive on this planet? And this is your dad talking to my dad,
Yeah.
not me. Have I ever had a call? I'm sorry, the IRS has never called once. They send certified letters. So if you can calm down for a second and in your mind just ask yourself that question, why would they call me and threaten to have me arrested? And does the IRS send police out? I've never heard of that. Right. So when I educate older folks, I say, when you get that call and it's based on fear, then right away you should be questioning if this is real. Romance scams are being used against widowed older folks. So when you now have a call or a conversation that's based on lust, stop yourself and say, okay, is this real? Because it went from, I love you, I want to meet you, to I need money. Like that, how is that natural? Have you ever had a relationship like that before? So those
Many
strong
people
emotions,
have.
yeah, they usually end up getting hurt, right?
That's true.
Right.
Yeah. No, but yeah, go ahead.
So it's those strong emotions that I say that are the triggering things that should make a person stop and think that you're given no way out, you're given no options, that if you don't take this action, something very bad is going to happen. That's how the bad guys actually get them to do those things.
Yeah, and one of the things you probably should do, you should have a list. I mean, when you're teaching people or they're reading your books, obviously too, but like for people, 10 different things is this is what happened is happening during the phone call. Tell them don't do it, or I'll talk to you later, or I'll call you back. I
Yeah.
mean, um, but to have that in front of you, a real list, because I think it's happening more and more. I mean, there was an Easy Pass going around. I don't know if you
Oh,
got that one.
yes. Yes.
And
Everyone got that.
yeah, I got that one. And I decided I called Easy Pass because I wanted to see. And the woman who answered said to me, first of all, she said, I work for Easy Pass, and and I got this myself, she said. So I mean, she was laughing, but that this is one of the big ones, I guess, that they're
It is.
circulating now. Yeah, right, the Easy Pass one. Um,
But what you did is a great example. See now, and that should be on the list, right?
yeah,
Is you don't call the number that text came from or the number that they called you from. You hung up and you looked up Easy Pass's actual number and you called them before you made any payment or clicked any link. So that's exactly like what a person should do. If you get a call from the IRS, quote unquote, you can hang that phone up, get on the irs.gov, call the official number and say, hey, are you guys calling around about due taxes and saying the police are going to come? If you hang that call up, nothing bad is going to happen if you make that call back to the actual person that you should be talking to.
exactly. Although I do have another problem. I'm glad I have you on the air. I'm like now I'm overdoing. I do get something, say, from the bank, from
Yeah.
Chase, and now or Amex, and I'm afraid that it is that
Yep.
it's not real, and I'm calling them, and they'll say, no, it is real. This is whatever it is. So like I'm overdoing it. How do you,
I don't think you're overdoing it. Imagine this. You took 5 minutes out of your life to make that call to verify that this payment request was real. And if you didn't do that and it was fake, what could it cost you? Identity theft, lots of money, maybe shame, embarrassment. So isn't that worth 5 or 10 minutes out of your day to make that call?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I don't think you're overdoing it. I don't.
So do overdo it, even if,
Yes,
yeah,
because
better
they are, right?
because
I
they
mean,
are right.
the
How
bad
much
guys.
money, Chris? How much money? I mean, they have to be really successful to do this because, what, 8 times out of 10 they're not, or what are the stats?
Well, there was a research that came out. There's a ransomware group called Scattered Spider, and they made, I think, somewhere around $150 million last year.
Oh,
That's one
wow.
group. That's one group of people. So this is wildly successful. We found in my business, we found a group out of Georgia, the country of Georgia, not the state, that set up an actual call center. They had hundreds of people working for them, and they were just running this IRS scam. That's all they were doing all day. It doesn't matter if they're only successful 10% of the time, because if you're making hundreds of calls a day, and you're living in a country where a few $1,000s can really go far, they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars a day doing this.
So who's policing them, and do they ever get caught? And then what happens?
Yeah, this is the hard part. So, if a lot of these countries that don't work well with, let's say, Western countries like America or the UK, there's no extradition. Like you could find out. Like I knew that place was in Georgia's not. They're not going to shut that thing down and hand over their people. So a lot of these groups operate in places like Africa, like the Ivory Coast, Russia, China, a country of Georgia, places that we have no authority in, and it's very difficult to shut those things down. Now there has been sextortion of teenagers in a very alarming scale right now. And that's coming out of the Ivory Coast. And there has been some success with the federal government working with police there to help shut down those rings because it's creating. I mean, there's been a lot of suicides because of it. So
Okay,
we do.
sextortion. So tell me, let's describe it.
Yeah, okay. So what they do is they start chatting, and right now they're targeting young men, somewhere between 13, 16 years old. And they do it with girls too, but mostly young men because men, we don't tend to go ask for help. So they start chatting them up as if they're a girl, another 16-year-old girl, 15-year-old girl, and they share a nude picture. And now they say, I want you to share a nude picture. So now he shares a nude picture. Then they're like, oh, we should sext. Like, send me a video of you doing something to yourself. He does. Now, as soon as they have that video, they now reveal, I'm not a 16-year-old girl. I'm an adult male, and I'm going to post this video on Facebook. I'm going to
Uh-huh.
send it to your school. I'm going to send it to your father. And you're going to go right now and you're going to take your father's credit card and you're going to pay me money. And they do. And now they say, you're going to do whatever I tell you, or we're going to post this. And they become a slave, in essence. And they actually tell the children, there's only two ways out of this. You keep doing it or you kill yourself. So in the last, I think it's been 6 or 7 months, there's been at least 20 some suicides in this country. And in other countries, there's been hundreds of suicides in country like Kazakhstan, where it's mostly Muslim. The children sadly just commit suicide because they can't deal with the shame of what they did.
That's horrific. Are
It
are
is.
we doing anything in our schools? Like now you have this information, you say it's been happening in the past 7 months, past year, whatever. Do the schools recognize this and tell their like middle school, high school, are they doing anything to inform the students that this is happening?
There's been a lot of public education around this. And I know firsthand because I also run a nonprofit called the Innocent Lives Foundation, and we work on stopping sextortion and finding predators and handing them over to law enforcement. So we've been educating schools and the public and parents about this, and I know there's other groups that have been doing this. And it's sadly because it's become normalized in today's society to send nude pictures that it's a very hard message to get across to kids because that has become something that, I mean, I'm born in the 70s here, so I must just be really old, but that's something that really shockingly has just become the norm. If you're dating someone, you're going to send nude pictures to them. And that is now being used and weaponized by these threat actors to get kids to do things that they definitely shouldn't be doing.
So it fits into the culture, you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, nowadays, nudity between teenagers doesn't seem to be even a shocking thing. Like it's almost like, what, you don't send nudes? What's wrong with you? So it's so normalized that when it's asked, they don't think, wow, why is someone asking me for a nude picture? Right? Like that would have never happened in my day and age.
Yeah.
So if that happened, you would have been like, what's wrong with this person? Like, why would they want that? Right?
Yeah, right. Exactly. But what about the parents? Now, are they aware of this or this or
Yeah, a lot of parents aren't. There's actually, um, I was just in Germany at a tribunal. We were testifying against social media's role in this exact thing, and I had a father there. He's actually a House representative, Brandon Guffey. His son committed suicide because he got sextorted, and he's open about that. When this happened, he had no clue that this was even happening. He had no clue that this was even a thing. He wasn't aware that his children were even sending nude pictures to other children. So this was so shocking for him. And I think that is what we're experiencing, that parents don't realize that this is happening. They're not getting educated in this. So therefore, they're not having these conversations with their children. So imagine if you know this now, if you're listening to this and you're a parent, you don't want to go home and scare your kids to death, but you could say to them, look, if you get in a situation where you actually send a picture and now someone starts asking you to do things or telling you to hurt yourself, don't come to me. I'm not going to be mad. Like, we're going to work through it. I'm going to help you. I'm your advocate. I'm not your adversary. The kids need to know that they're not going to be told they're stupid or hated because they made this mistake, because that's why they're committing suicide, is they're so afraid of what their parents are going to do.
you can also sit down with your kids at the dinner table and just make it, not even, I think this is one way of introducing these kinds of conversations is, have you ever heard of sextortion? Because I
Yes,
haven't. And then they have or they haven't, and sort of introduce the conversation that way. Um, what
that's a great
about
idea.
what? Thank you. What about AI? I mean, it
Ooh.
seems to me we're really going to be fooled by AI. Yeah.
AI is it's a scary thing right now. It really is, because if we go back to sextortion, the bad guys are also using this to take pictures of teen boys and girls from like their Instagram or Facebook or TikTok and generating nude images of them. And even though they're not real, it's embarrassing when you get sent a picture of you that looks real and you're doing something very graphic, very pornographic. And now they say, we're going to send this out to all your friends. And how are you going to say it's fake? How are you going to say that this isn't real? It looks real. AI is also being used to clone people's voices. So and faces. They're called digital skins. There was an attack, I think it was maybe 9 or 10 months ago, maybe it was last year, that they actually built a digital skin of the CFO of this massive organization, cloned his voice. They got on a Zoom call with one of the accountants and AP people in this company, and said they're doing a massive investment in a new company and they need a wire transfer done right now while they were on the call. This man saw his boss, heard his boss, so he did it $25 million in one phone call. And that was all AI driven.
I don't even know what to say,
Right.
except
Right.
is there, okay, they're doing that. How do you counter that with AI?
Oh,
Yeah, or
so
do
this
you?
this is the $1 million question, right? And nobody has the answer to that yet. So what I've been telling people, because there's not a plug-in or something you can put on your screens that are going to go, hey, that's not really Catherine. That's a deep fake. Like, nothing can do that right now. So I've been telling people, verify. If you can't verify what you're being asked to do, I tell companies, set up a verification system, like like almost like multi-factor authentication. So I'm being asked to do a wire transfer for on this call. Okay, sir, I'm going to hang up and I'm going to call you back on your direct number just to verify that this is it. And if he gets all mad, I'm going to fire you. Hey, you know what? This is our process. So now you get off that call, you call Mr. CFO, did you just ask me to do a $25 million wire transfer? If he says yes, great, you're doing your job. If he says no, it's just what you do with Amex and Chase and these other places. It sounds like a lot of extra work, but isn't that worth not losing $25 million or your investments or your life savings? So it's worth the time to just take that step to verify. And if you can't verify, then do not take action.
So, Chris, so what you're saying is you need a new protocol. We all need new
Yeah.
protocols, right? And
Yep.
and make it so that it's automatic, so that you're not automatically, because we are the response. Like what you're saying is we kind of automatically respond to that
Yeah.
what was okay in the past, which is not okay now because of all this technology and AI. We need entirely new protocols, which is what your books are about, obviously, right?
It is.
Yeah,
I mean, when my grandma was around, we did this thing because there's a grandparent scam going on, right? Where they call, let's say if you have a grandkid, Catherine, they call, hey,
yep.
grandma, I was with my buddies at a bachelor party. We went over the border to Mexico. I got in a fight. I got mugged. I'm arrested. I need some money to get bailed out and get back home, and I'll pay you back soon as I get there on my wallet or anything. Grandma wants to help. So now you hand the phone over to what sounds like a Mexican police officer. It's $5,000 for bail and a ticket back home. Can you help him? Give us this credit card. Done. You're done for. So what we do is we say, Grandma, I have a code word. And here's this word. And I'm going to write it on this sticky note and put it next to your phone. And Grandma, you never, ever say this word. I'm the only one who says this word. So if I call you or someone calls for me and requests money or anything, you say, hey, ask Chris what the code word is. And if it's really me and I'm just too drunk to tell it to you, then you hang up and you say, call me when you're sober. I'll just sit in jail until I'm sober. But that code word is like multi-factor authentication. The bad guys aren't going to know it. And it's not a word we use all the time. You can make it, walrus, whatever. Make it a word that no one talks about, you don't use. And it's just a word that sits there. And now grandma knows that if you don't say that word, she takes no action. I have that same protocol with my daughter, with my son, with my wife, because if they get deep faked or something happens, I want to know this is the word. And if you're real, then you should know the code word that we have between us.
That's a great idea. I mean, that's very practical, very easy to do, right? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. So parents and grandparents should, I guess, have that in place. That is something that's a new way of responding. Uh,
Until,
Give us
until we
some,
find technology, right? We have to, until
yeah.
we find tech, we have to go back to the basics to keep ourselves safe.
But AI is going to be, I'm assuming, and we don't know when. I had one guest saying 2 years smarter than we are. Have the ability is yeah.
Right.
What
Right now, there's this brand. I mean, it's amazing that I can talk about this when 6 months ago this didn't exist. There's this brand new technology that allows AI to actually act like it's thinking. Like you say to it, I want you to go out and find information on Kathryn Zox. That's all I have to say. And it will actually go and do web searches. It will catalog the data. It will database it. It will analyze the data. Then it will go and catalog the metadata of it. And then I can come back and I can say, tell me where Catherine's from. And it will go and analyze all the data it has, then compare it to new data on the internet and basically give me a profile of you. And all I did was give it two commands. I didn't have to tell it what to do. It actually does it all on its own. That didn't exist 6 months ago, and it's here now. So I'm not sure if we're talking 2 years. We might be talking in 12 months from now that AI is capable of doing things. Right now, they're building robots that are now having AI built into them so they can interact more human-like. It's it's kind of scary in a way.
Yeah, I think I got in Tokyo. I got not really attacked by an AI bot robot. I was at the information, in the airport at the information center, whatever, trying to get information from a human, and the robot came over. And
Oof.
the person behind the desk said, she had to tell the bot to get away because it kept coming. I mean, it was, yeah. And that was, what, 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I mean, I just saw a video yesterday of a humanoid robot that was dancing and actually had balance and was dancing with a partner, and it was smooth and it was perfect and it had no wires on it. I mean, that is, you go back just even 6 or 8 months ago when Elon Musk, debuted his robots, and this is worlds different than what we saw even just a couple months ago. So it's advancing at a rate, and this is the part that scares me. It's advancing at a rate without regulation and without stopgaps. That's what makes me nervous because there's no real protocols in place to say, like, how can I use this? I mean, sure, Chat GPT, you can't go in and say, hey, write me a phishing email for Chris Hadnagy. But what you could say is, hey, write me an email that will get Chris to come to my website. Right? And what is that? That's a phishing email, right? That's
yeah.
an email to get me to click. And it will go and do research and then write an email.
So, I mean, you just said in the beginning of the interview, I guess you were in Germany for a conference or whatever. Like in terms of the world order, we have China, the United States, the developed countries, all using AI at the similar paces, I guess.
Yeah.
Probably China and the U.S., I imagine. But so it almost seems impossible. Kind of, how do we get? And there's no checks and balances on any of this? I mean, doesn't this have to be kind of a worldwide acceptance of what needs to be done in a positive way? And is that impossible? Um,
That's a good question. I mean, if we go back to the beginning of AI, they released their first bot on the internet and let people interact with it. And I think it was something within 6 hours, it became a misogynistic Nazi racist. And people were like, why? I mean, nobody was asking it. Why did it become that? And when they analyzed it, it was because the only people training that bot were young white men. So that's the only knowledge that that bot had was information from young white men. So now it became this horrific thing. So they went back and said, oh, we need diversity. We need to train these bots with diversity. But look at the mistake that happened with that first release in order for them to learn that. So that's where I get this fear is like they're learning because all of a sudden it goes and it does something really scary. And then you're like, oh, yeah, we shouldn't have done it that way. I agree. It should be a global effort. There should be global efforts to kind of regulate this. I have to imagine it's going to start coming at some point. But what we see is like everything in a commercial world, every company's working their hardest to be the first to come out with the brand new thing, right? And that is what they want to do because if you're the first to market, then you're rich.
It's really I mean, it's scary, it's terrifying, and all of this is changing, as we're saying, in sort of 6 months
Yeah.
increments. Maybe I'm going back to the same question, but how do it seems impossible to keep up with it, or you don't even know who you're trying to keep up with.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. So I tell people like don't fall into the trap of what they call FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, right? That's a great motivator for making a mistake, and it is impossible to keep up with everything. I mean, I do this for a living, and I still will get told things by coworkers or people that I meet with that'll go, "What? Is that real? Like, did that actually happen?" Like not knowing that that is a new thing because you can't have the time in a day to read everything on every attack or every AI or every new invention. So don't just look at what affects you, your family, your work, your circle, right? When I tell
Yeah.
people, and really it's kind of like the core of the book we started talking about is I can't change the world, but I can try to change my immediate circle. And if everyone in my immediate circle then tries to change in their immediate circle, then it can grow and we can see change and we can see better things in the future. But I know that I only can focus on what's in my immediate circle to
That's
try to make that
great
better.
advice, good advice, and positive too. We're ending on a positive note,
Yeah,
but we
I
have to
wanted
keep
to.
up. But we can keep up with you. We can keep up with what you're doing in your books and your presentations or whatever. So tell us where we can go to do that.
Sure. So probably the main website is social-engineer.com. And on there you can find information about my books, conferences, speaking, all the other things that we're doing. We're running a human behavior conference in November here in Orlando, Florida. So you can get information about that on the site, and you can reach out to me from any of our social medias there too.
That's great. I love this interview. You were great, terrific.
Thank you.
Yeah, the book is Human Hacking. We talked about a lot of different kinds of things. Obviously, the author is Christopher Hadnagy, and it's Hacking, Win Friends, Influence People, and Leave Them Better Off for Having Met You. Well, we're better off for having talked to you. So
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.